Welcome to Punky's World. This is our dark side of the ring, the killing of Bruiser Brody. Okay. So, this review, well, this whole thing was heartbreaking. He very much kept Bruiser Brody from Frank Goodish. He played 3 years in the NFL before, I believe he was with the Washington Redskins, before becoming a wrestler. And he said he would have given up those 3 years for 3 more years of wrestling. So, I believe my father remembered him playing in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. There were a couple of wrestlers my father pointed out that he remembered playing. That had played in the NFL. His widow, Barbara Goodish, said, "I only knew Frank. To me, he was Frank. He was not Bruiser Brody." She said, "I remember dropping him off the airport for the fateful trip when he died." She said he walked into the airport with his hair in a ponytail. He took his hair down, slung it out, and that was sort of the transformation between Frank and Bruiser. She said, "I saw the transformation." His son has a storage unit with all of his father's memorabilia and stuff in it. He was just a little boy. I think he was 5 or 6 years old when Brody was killed. You know, it's sad because I remember his father better than he does. I was 15 when he was killed in 1989. When he got to the locker room that particular night, he saw Tony Atlas sketching on his sketch pad. Tony Atlas is known to be an excellent artist. He's an excellent singer. He's just a very multi-talented man. And he saw how good it was. Tony said, "He saw me drawing." And he said, "Hey, that's really good. Can you draw something for me?" And he said, "Sure, what would you like?" And he carried a leather pouch, I guess. It was like a wallet. And he pulled out a picture of his son, Jeff, spelled Geoff, and asked him if he would sketch his son. And as he was handing him the picture, Invader 1, Jose Gonzalez, called Brody into the bathroom stall in the locker room. The wall was, it wasn't transparent completely, but it was translucent, so you could see shadows through it. And so they could see, or Atlas could see, and I'm sure other people could see them in there. And the next thing Atlas heard was, "Oh!" And then he heard, "Oh!" again. I can't do it as well as he can because I can't go that low, but just like a very masculine, deep groan. And he saw him stumble backwards. At first I thought he punched him in the stomach. And he hit the ground, and I realized he'd been stabbed. And so he got down there with him to help him. And Do you know that he never let go of his son's picture? He wouldn't even let go of it when they took him in the operating room. To try to put his intestines back inside his body where they belonged. This man eviscerated him. He literally cut long cuts, 2 long cuts in his abdomen. I'm sorry, this man walked into this locker room with a towel over his hand, which had the knife in it, called him into a more private space, and stabbed him not once but twice. Brody didn't have a weapon, yet he got off on self-defense. I'm sorry, that's premeditation, which last I checked in the United States, and Puerto Rico is a part of the United States, is first-degree homicide, first-degree murder. It was premeditated murder. This man did not like Brody. Brody kind of beat the crap out of him in their first match. And he had said after that, I'm going to kill him. And I'm sure, and it was years before, and I'm sure at that time it was out of anger and he didn't actually mean it. But when you actually killed the person years later, you know, the story goes that Brody was about to buy in, or may have just bought in, to the company in Puerto Rico. He was working with Victor Quinones and Gorilla Monsoon, 2 of the other owners. Carlos Colon, I think, was majority owner. To buy Gorilla Monsoon's share in the company. Now, whether he had actually bought Gorilla's share at that point, I don't know. They weren't sure whether the deal had gone through. And he had told people that there were going to be changes and that he was getting rid of Gonzalez from booking, because Gonzalez was a booker as well as a wrestler. Never a good combination. And Gonzalez had a habit of not paying people, and this was according to Brody. So, Tony Atlas went to the hospital with him. He cried for him. He held his hand and he sang to him, "Heaven ain't a lot like Dixie." And the dressing room told police that a fan stabbed Brody. So when they went, Tony Atlas, and asked him if he saw the fan, he said, "What fan?" That blankety blank stabbed him. And Brody's wife was called in the middle of the night by Carlos Colon's wife, Nancy. Doctors really thought Brody was going to make it. He didn't. The fact of the matter is he bled to death because one of the cuts was in his liver. Brody's wife, Barbara, arrived. She had no idea that he had died. As a matter of fact, let me go back a little bit. In case Barbara called, Dutch Mantell told the lady at the front desk, "If someone calls for Brody, put it through to my room, please." In case Barbara called, so he could talk to Barbara in English. And because evidently he knew Barbara. So he when Nancy had called her, she was just stunned. So she called the hotel and talked to Dutch. And Dutch said, "Yeah, you probably should get here." But he didn't go into a lot of detail with her. because he knew she was flying a very long way with a 6-year-old, and he just didn't want to, have her a mess before she got here, and he didn't know he was dead. Wasn't until early the following morning that everybody found out that he had died in the night. And when she arrived in Puerto Rico at the airport, Abdullah, being the absolute freaking coward he was running to get back to the mainland United States. He didn't want any part in it. Not that I can blame him in a way, but damn it, tell what you saw. There were only 2 people that told what they saw and heard, and that was, honestly, and that was Dutch Mantell and Tony Atlas. And so I guess Abdullah got her back to the hotel where he went to a meeting with the other wrestlers. I guess Abdullah made sure she got back to the hotel, but he had to be the one to tell her she was a widow, because he was just the first person she ran into, because he was in the airport scurrying away. And when she got to the hotel and the guys had met and everything, to be told what happened, that he was gone, excuse me, she was taken to the morgue. And shown her husband. I can't even imagine. She said, I can't take this giant body home. This man was like 6.5 feet tall, 300 pounds. I'm going to have to cremate him on the island and take him home that way. And so that's what she did. So she took his cremains home to Texas and buried them. Like I said, the guy was found not guilty due to self-defense. Yeah, my heart hurts so badly to know that Barbara and Jeff never got justice for their husband and father. He met his wife on an Australian tour earlier in his career, and she had no idea what he was. They were just at the hotel bar. She worked at the hotel? I'm trying to remember, because I read the book. No, she and her girlfriends were there. I believe they lived in Tasmania, and they were there on vacation. And I think she did work for the hotel in the summer or something like that. And that's how they met. They fell in love. They had a long distance thing for a while because he was in Texas. They fell in love. Eventually, they got married. She moved to Texas, and they had a son. Her family actually liked Frank. He's one of the rare wrestlers that kept it completely separate. I mean, I can name a few that kept their wrestling life and their family life very separate. Roddy Piper was always very private about his family life. Roddy Piper, Roderick Toombs, never the twain shall, you know what I mean? very much. Christopher Daniels and Daniel Covell, very separate. AJ Styles and Alan Jones, very separate. It's healthier that way. In my opinion. Frankie Kazarian, Frankie Girdleman, miles apart. So it's like I said, it's healthier that way, and I think it's a good thing that Frank was able to do that. So that is one of the most heartbreaking things to me. Next one that we'll do is Chris King, because I think it's important, because I have LGBTQ plus people in my family and in my close circle. So I think it's important to do that for them. To talk about what he went through in a time period when in the world of wrestling it wasn't okay to be LGBTQ plus. Now it's like no big deal. I wish that his depression would have allowed him to live to see where we are now in the sport. To see the transgender people and the openly gay men like Sonny Kiss, and, you know, in our business. I say our business. I've been a fan for 40 years. In the business. You know, to see how far they've come. I can't believe I said our business. But to me, it kind of is, you know. Like I said, I love the business. I'm proud of it. That's why I call it that. You know, how far the business has come, and I just think that would be so good for him. Instead of having to deny who he was. So that will be the next one. That will be next week. And I'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day. God bless you. Stay safe. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much, guys. Remember, we're trying to get to 100 subscribers by August 4th, by my birthday. Bye, guys. Mwah.